How we Google what we Google. Google is a verb, not just a platform or a tool. Nirmal, thank you for being here. Head of Google Marketing Platform. We are very fortunate that your cab ran on time, just with the weather. I thought we could split our conversation maybe into two. One about Google AI search overview, the impact that that has had on donor journey, our understanding of our donors' journey online. And then ask you maybe to wear the hat of a CMO and understand what it is that you would be doing, what levers you would be pulling, given the environment we're existing in. Just first question out of the gate, just so that everybody has a clear understanding of Google AI overviews. What are they, and what purpose are they serving?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. And I do want to say that my life's purpose is to have a nonprofit of my own one day. So this is a great moment for me to connect and also speak about such an eminent topic. So how many of you, I would say, use Google search? How many of you believe your donors find your brand and your mission and vision and purpose on Google search? I'm seeing hands, fewer hands than the ones before. It's true. 3/4 of the donors that we see use Google search for research. One of the biggest misconceptions of our industry, and especially industry when I mean that, I'm speaking specifically about nonprofits, is we believe that new donors, whether those are Gen Z or non-Gen Z, are using social media to find your mission and purpose. While that's true to a certain extent, 3/4, like I mentioned, of that donor base is researching on Google every day. 15% of Google searches are net new every day. I've had the fortune of being in that company for 18 years, and this stat of 15% hasn't changed in the last 10 years.
US specific or global?
Global. And what that means is there are new ways to connect with your audience. And that's why Google search has also changed tremendously. So to answer your question, I'll pose another question to the audience. How many of you have recently gone to Google search and seen something called AI overviews? I love this crew. And you've asked the question, and search has been, did you mean this? Do you more information on this specific topic? And that is the fundamental shift on search. Because back in the day, search was an old way of discovering things, where you said, you've already made up your mind and you're going to search and saying, I want this. I've done my research, give me the data. Now you're going with a very uninformed mind and asking long-form questions. So instead of, I'm going to take a nonprofit example here just to hit home the point. If I am in market to get a new printer, back in the day, I would do my research and I'll be like, I want an inkjet printer or I will want a laser printer. Today, I'm going to ask Google, what printer, based on the size of my room and the requirement of my personal or business day-to-day, what kind of printer do I want? Where should I get it? So there is location information, there is my past behavior information, there are other signals like time of day. All of that is, the algorithm is reading that and then posing questions back to you along with seeded information so you can make the right choice. So it's no longer about that click, it's about informed clicks.
But so is it also, so we're saying it's influencing engagement, it's influencing discovery. To what degree does it influence trust?
That's a great question. It really depends on the voice. So for example, if you look at those AI overviews and the links that you receive, if they are very generic, you're not going to get a click because If somebody is looking for, clean water charities around me, and Google AI shows up a bunch of, or AI overviews, we also call them search overviews, and we also call them AIOs, by the way. It's heavily confusing. We never get this right. We have 15.
The brand issue.
It's a brand issue. Is this being recorded? Damn it. We got to do better. So if I am just a passive user, and I just want information, I'm going to read that link, and I'm like, I've got it. I don't need anything else. But you are not looking for that passive user. You, as a nonprofit, is looking to convert a passive user into an active donor. So for you to do that, you have that moment to influence. And how do you do that? Is by making sure that AI actually captures the right information from your website and poses as a suggestion.
So does that mean, just to be clear, that structured data or a schema markup is as or more critical today than it has been?
100%, and I'm not in any way suggesting go create new content. Please don't do that. There is enough content, enough blog posts out there that most of you already have on your website. What, in my experience, I am recommending for you to make the best of today's search behavior is synthesize the information, maybe even on a better page, on your own websites where you're using regular language that your donors type to ask questions, and then ensure that it's EEAT.
Say it again.
It's EEAT, and I'll just break that acronym. That information that you have is actually shared by an expert. It is experienced information. It's authoritative or authentic, and it's trustworthy. So for instance, if there are blog posts about best charities or best water charities on your website or best way to connect with your services, put out the name of whoever has written that. Research always follows best when you have the author attached to it. And algorithms today, especially AI algorithms, are looking for those signals to bump up the credibility of the links. And that's where trust and influence comes in those few seconds.
You mentioned signals there. What other signals are being looked at to say, yes, check, like first E, second E, A, T, aside from either keywords, something is authored? And the second part of that question is, you mentioned blog posts, other mediums, and I've come across conversations around video becoming more and more important. Can you talk to that just a little bit as well?
So let me get this. You have multiple segments in your question.
Yep. I was trying to let you have some water.
You're so kind. Thank you. So first of all, let me respond to the signals piece.
Yep.
So with AI, and we use this word so generically, but this is not generic AI. When we talk about this, is generative AI. This is agentic AI, where we are taking keywords, if I can say, is a thing of the past. Not that we don't use them in search today, but today's search is no longer just keyword searches. There are image searches, there are video searches, there are long-form, context-based searches. So search today is more context-driven. Context is the new language of AI. So, like I said, your inferred data, whether you are a signed-in user, so you're inferring your history, your past behavior, search behavior, your location, your time of day, the purpose with which you're asking the query, the device from which you're asking the query, all of those signals are taken into consideration. And the best thing I think that has happened in today's world, and to your question, is the word for discovery is predictive. It's not, search is no longer where you just come to get your answers. It's a destination where you are told what your next question can be. You are being informed of your next question. So the better signals, the better first-party data that you can inject when you're running any kind of marketing, if you are, and I would say makes that connection to a passive donor or a passive user to an active donor that much more seamless.
Is there a balance that you at Google are cognizant of when it comes to personalizing the recommendations? And on the other side, there's a privacy concern, personal privacy concern, right, about data. I mean, I know that half the searches I do, I'm not signed into my Google account because I'm coming at it from, another laptop or whatever it is. That's clearly going to give me a arguably worse experience because it's not personalized, and yet I'm still getting the answer from the search overview. Is there I mean, to me, that's a dichotomy to some degree, and I'm the one that's actually not getting the experience that you want me to. Is there anything there that you can just speak to around how you balance personalization and sort of data privacy?
Absolutely. The way we talk about AI at Google specifically is more around ethical AI. And I truly believe in that because the choice is with the consumer. So let's say as a user, I choose what data I share with Google. How much PII information I'm okay Google storing and then providing me personalized responses, whether it's in terms of ads or suggestions, whatever they may be. Similarly, you as nonprofits have a lot of PII information from your donors that you can choose to use or not use. And if you're choosing to use, my recommendation would be to make that policy very, very clear on your websites. And the way we do it is we provide tools, feature in and feature opt-outs to anyone who uses Google's ads platform, let's say, to say what kind of information you can use. We say, please do not give us PII, right? But you have other first-party data as in, form fills. You have other PII information, just the name of the user, and how you choose to use it and re-interact with them is totally up to the brand. But we don't showcase that, Nirmal, you searched for this, and hence I'm going to give you this recommendation. Or let's say a nonprofit can't say, Nirmal, you were here, let's please finish and fill out this form and become a user. I mean, that won't be a great practice.
Are there some misconceptions that you see, or even misconceptions maybe, or challenges? You sit with a lot of nonprofits, you've done this work for 18 years. Are there repeat challenges that you're seeing? And now with the advent of AI coming into it as well, are they still repeat, or are there wholly different challenges that are being faced?
Wow, there are so many. But that's not because, I think that's because the industry is changing really fast around us. There are too many surfaces, too many channels for us to interact with. We had Google and then we have YouTube. YouTube continues to be like one of our largest streaming services, if you will, in the world. Not a whole lot of nonprofits use it because they don't look at it as a social channel. And they think of YouTube as the only place you go for user-generated content, but that's a myth. So for example, one of the most powerful things I see a lot of nonprofits who are using digital really well do are a few things.
Using what? Digital what?
Digital marketing platforms do really well, and also busting some of the myths that you were mentioning. One is mobile. We've been talking about mobile first, and I'm sure all of you in the audience, you've heard mobile first, let's be mobile first. What does that really mean? All it means is that when I want to access your website on my phone, I'm able to interact with it seamlessly. I don't have to drop my phone and open my laptop to complete the journey. That's not a great user experience. In our data, we see 50% of new traffic that comes on mobile phones are coming from social and from search. That is a huge opportunity for new donor base. But if I look at the average donation size or gift size, around $79. That's really small, doesn't really go a long way. The reason for that is because the user flow is not optimum to do more than just that. So you will also attract that kind of donor clientele. So making your website mobile first, forms shorter so you can engage, you can get the short-term gain of a donor, and then build long-term brand visibility and influence and trust by deploying other strategies is one. Second, I would say I have seen nonprofits create more and more content. They spend so much money on polished marketing ads. Quite frankly, someone who wants to connect with a nonprofit wants to connect with your mission and your purpose and your benefit. They are sometimes also very transactional. So if you're only appealing to the emotional and the and that urgency, you're not going to get them. So how do you make sure that you use your existing donor base, your existing volunteer profile to create content? So I'll give you an example.
Please.
Let's say I would use an ad that says, we have 15 dogs looking for shelter. Foster now. Apply now. Great. Can drive transactions. Now think about it the other way. You have a short form video, short form, not long form, not highly manicured and produced by a volunteer that sees where you have a dog sitting on the couch next to them and you say,
Using their iPhone.
using their iPhone or Pixel or any other phone. So meet Max. He's been a great company for 10 days. Amazing experience. Apply now. There's something about that video that makes a similar user connect with it. And you haven't spent a whole lot of money doing that. So think about using existing volunteers to create that engagement. And Gen Z specifically engages with an ad like that 7 times more than they would have engaged with my previous example.
That's video versus text.
Or video versus video, one extremely polished, straightforward, we have 15 dogs, foster now, apply now.
Okay. One of the reasons that I see brands, organizations putting more money into market, media market, paid ads, is because they're worried that when I Google, who should I donate to, I get Google AI overviews, give me the overviews, and I'm trying to get their attention to say, yeah, yes, and like we exist. And so the media is being, the paid media is going into those ads popping up such that I can distract a prospective donor such that these 3 charities that get called out in the overview, maybe I get into the consideration set. That's Tobes seeing that data, right? This isn't Google. You got a lot more data than I do. So are you seeing that? Are you seeing organizations spend more money and therefore, of course, Google are benefiting on that side, but there is some sort of information that you're able to serve in overviews?
I will go with a controversial response on this and say no.
Interesting.
Reason being, this is one thing I try when I'm consulting a nonprofit. I say, please, marketing spend is very scarce with nonprofits. It's static, not very flexible. You have an annual plan, you have an annual schedule for funding and fundraisers, et cetera, et cetera. So if you just take that budget and spread it thin across multiple activities, you want to do social, you want to do search, you want to do YouTube, you want to be on TikTok, that's spreading your already small amount of resources very, very thin. You're not going to get the visibility on any of the platform in the most optimal way. So first and foremost, it's about where your audiences are. Are you trying to reach Gen Z? If yes, you're trying to reach them when? They are streaming, scrolling, shopping. So finding the platforms where they are aggregating the most, not just for information, but for action. Second is,
sorry, question. How do you know when they're ready for action? That to me just sounds like I've gone through the Google University of Marketing and I hear that all the time, but I don't know how to capture that action moment.
Right.
How do we do that?
By making sure that you're connecting the dots. And what I mean by that is, let's say you run a social campaign, right, which is all about creating awareness about your brand. Also run a search campaign alongside so that when somebody's watched the video, haven't taken an action then and there, but they come back to search. They're not searching for you on social media. They're coming back on search and looking for a nonprofit, you're able to create that experience for them to act now. So you're connecting the dots.
Okay. Just pause there for a second. Branded search, non-branded search. Are we seeing a spike of either? Is that donor journey changing because of search behavior?
Yes. Gone are the days when we would say branded searches is everything or non-branded search is everything. You need both. What I mean by that is if I am a new donor or not a donor yet, a visitor, and I'm looking for best homeless shelters to volunteer in my city, I'm not searching for a particular brand. So I need to be present in those moments that matter for that new user. So I need to know what my consumer base is looking for. And then also be available on branded search once they've made up my mind and they're coming there. So absolutely, it goes hand in hand. Depending on how mature your brand is, so if you're a very well-known brand, sometimes you don't need as much of your non-brand activity, but you need to balance both. So yes, we do see a spike.
Okay. And can I ask you to wear a different cap, a CMO cap of a nonprofit? There's a lot of fragmentation across paid media, across the media landscape in general. If, like me, you have to build a plan for 2026 in a couple of weeks or days,
Good luck.
and I suspect everybody here is also going to do the same thing. Give us a cheat sheet in terms of how would you approach outreach to net new donors and supporters, and maybe it's a different play, but how would you do it? Just sort of top 3 considerations, because it is going to be different next year than it is this year.
Absolutely. I'm going to pick a few things from my vision board of me building a nonprofit, so this is a wonderful question. First and foremost, for me, would be really knowing who I want to reach and why. I really need to nail my audience, my short-term audience and my long-term audience. What I mean by that is my short-term audience would be my active net new Gen Z donors. I'm going to create an acquisition strategy that is about acquiring them, being present on social and search and video, and have a measurement strategy that connects the dots across all 3. So I'm not paying on search to find the same user, and then same user on social, and the same user on video, and yet they have taken no action. So making sure that if you are investing in marketing, you're investing in a measurement platform that connects the dots and also is able to bring then your data entry, your research, your PII data to reach that consumer long term. So that once that acquisition happens, now you are in phase 2, which is retention. So you're increasing the lifetime value of that donor. But the first and foremost with acquisition, I'll make sure it's convenient for them to find me and my nonprofit. It's convenient for them to then engage, fill the form, be with me, and then I will go with retention strategy. But I will, if I'm a CMO, like you said, I will deploy every arsenal in my marketing platform. I will not just do Google search or just do YouTube. I will do Instagram. I will do podcasts selectively, of course, keeping the affinity of the brand in mind. I will do TikTok, given where my audience is, and I'll make sure that I stitch everything from a measurement standpoint.
So measurement understood, but how do you balance this desire for short-term discoverability, long-term brand building? How do you balance it? And does it sort of, is it a little bit like an accordion where you've got to move a little bit depending on the data that you're seeing?
Absolutely, there has to be flexibility. And if somebody tells me my short-term donors are never going to become my long-term donors, well, yeah, I would ask why. Oh, the household income that they come from, or given their own household income, like they can only put in X amount of dollars every year. Sure, but can they do something else? Okay, are there other services that your nonprofit is providing that you can use them to keep them as your long-term donor? So for me, it's about flexibility. For me, it's about using the right channels and then understanding what segment of that donor base actually moves from short-term donor, annual short-term donor, to long-term lifetime value donor. It could be that you are inviting them to certain events. You are keeping them more apprised. You are providing more personalized services. One thing, and I'm so sorry for saying this, but when I sign up for nonprofits and I get an email saying, "Dear Nirmal," and a very generic message for thank you for signing up, I'm just like one of the thousands of who have signed up. But how do you make it a little bit more palpable for me as a user by sharing a few videos that you probably have saying, "Hey, you're a new donor. Here are 3 things you need to know about our organization. This is how we differentiate," is how I would answer that question.
Amen. I have one more question, Tara. Sorry. In terms of big bets, next 12 to 18 months, this is a question I have to answer in my marketing thing next week to my CEO. So you're helping me here. But people are obviously interacting with information differently.
Right.
Do you have either tools or content coming down the pipe that can help organizations build for that future and that sort of new sense of discovery?
Yes.
What can you share?
Great question. Is like, I didn't talk to Sundar this morning. That's not sure. I wish I could talk to Sundar. I would say it's very easy for me to sit here and say this. So I understand if you roll your eyes at me. But don't look at AI as a cost center. Look at AI and the changes that you're seeing as a human force multiplier. And I will give another controversial challenge out there. You don't have to reduce your task force, but you can use the same task force to do high-value strategic things. And what I mean by that in the nonprofit world is instead of having your talent do data entry of new donors, registrations, sending those emails and hello emails and schedules, automate that process. Get that same talent base to go find net new beneficiaries, find what their audiences are doing, connect with them on a more personal level. That's really important in the day of AI. Second, please don't create net new content if you already have it. UGC. Use user-generated content by your existing user base. Author it. Put it on a page on your website where algorithms and AI can bring it to life when we are using AI overviews. And also, create a more engaging model on YouTube. I've heard this from even nonprofit customers I work with that, for us to be on YouTube and be successful and have it being monetized, we need a massive content strategy. We need a huge production house. It's a myth. You don't. The platform was never truly built for that. You can, if you use good, authentic, not models, not AI models, please do not do that, for your nonprofit purpose, you can create such valuable connections, and you can use remarketing after that. So that's how I would say for us, at Google, we are really thinking about agentic search. So how do we make sure we remove and make search convenient, fun, so that you can explore more than what you think you want to explore, and be in multiple surfaces, so that whether you are on YouTube looking for something and you want to action, you looked for something and you want to action, there's a CTA for you to action it. So, and how do we bring it all together with measurement? I think with AI, this is for next 12 to 18 months, I think that'll be the place to play.
Yeah, thank you. Q&A, questions?
I knew you were going to have your hand up. Is this working? Okay. I'm wondering about, I know this has already started in the US, but I'm coming from the Canadian Red Cross hat on, and just talking about monetization with how it will change with the new search landscape. For the Canadian Red Cross, for example, paid search, branded and non-grant and paid is our highest performing, where most of our leads and revenue come in. So I'm wondering with the AI summaries and just how that will be monetized, or if you could speak at all to that.
First of all, nice to meet you. I'm Canadian, so high five. And high five to Canadian Red Cross. Thank you for all you do. I am going to answer this in a very tactical way, and please find me later if it's unclear. But using the right search campaign types. I'm going to get that tactical. So
Candy what, sorry?
campaign types. So
Campaign types.
campaign types. Back in the day, we would recommend have, what we call broad match keywords, phrase match keyword, exact match keywords. Anyone here who's worked with that, I sympathize, empathize with you. I've been there too. 2 decades ago, that's how we created search campaigns. But today, that's not the case because we ourselves as users are using long-form queries to reach what we want to reach and what we want to find. So using the right campaign types for the right segment of users is imperative. So we have at Google Ads, which is a free tool called Performance Max. So what that does is it has the ability that you don't have to think about what kind of match type you're using. And it uses the context across all Google surfaces, videos, images, etc., to give you the right actionable ad. So that's one. Second, I would say...
One second. Would you turn it on and just say, PMax, have at it? Here's my budget. Do you? Or would you recommend that, yes, turn on PMax, but watch it?
I would say 2 years ago, I would say, please experiment. Now, I would say, go have it.
Okay.
That's great. So that is a great way to kick off. And I would say if you're not experimenting on YouTube, I will highly recommend upper funnel experimentation on YouTube as well.
Okay. Brilliant. Yes, sir.
My name's Philip. I'm from Stella, so I get to work with a whole bunch of different nonprofit clients spending money on Google. With our digital ads, we spend most of our money on Google because of last click attribution. My question, as you look in your crystal ball, we're starting to see more searches not be last click. They're coming from large language models. So I'm assuming OpenAI is going to have an ad platform for me at some point, and they're going to compete for that dollar. Can you just talk a little bit about how you're seeing it from Google's perspective, protecting that ad investment?
I love that question. Thank you, and lovely to meet you. I think this is where measurement is so important. Because you're right, long-form queries are the future. They are already the future of Google search. And we are seeing less clicks through AI overviews, and that's intentional. A zero-click activity, amazing for a nonprofit. You don't have to pay for it. Mm-hmm. But you want to make sure you show up on AI overviews because then the click that you get is highly intent-based, is so intentional. That is what's going to drive the value of the donorship or the donation. So that's one. And the reason I say measurement is because using measurement that is able to tell you which channel, which engine, because I would recommend be on Google search, be on Bing, be on Baidu, and every search engine that your consumer base is on, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, but tag it with a measurement system that can scroll across and crawl across and give you the detubed version of your consumer journey, because then you can think, oh, for my long form questions, people are going to search suddenly. And then for my short form, they're going to video. And there's an interplay in that path. And am I spending my really hard fundraised dollar in the right channel at the right time? So there is some work to be done from a data-driven perspective, so you spend your dollar where it really matters.
Last question for me, because I know everyone's starving, we need to have lunch. If there's just 2 or 3 things that you would recommend that organizations here can take home and say, let's do this and increase the likelihood, at least, of us appearing in Google AI overviews so that we know our prospective donors are more likely to see us and therefore probably more likely to engage and perhaps even donate to us. What are those 2 or 3 practical things?
I will think both as a Googler and as a...
Please, yeah.
From my vision perspective. One, have you heard of Google Grants program?
Mm.
Right. If you haven't used it, please go check out the Google Grants program. It's available for both YouTube and Google search. That's number one. If I'm starting off, I'll start off right away. But please don't just set it up and let it run on its own. The better data you provide, the better instructions you provide to an LLM model, the better output you're going to get. And I've used Gemini and I use ChatGPT, full disclosure. And the AI model is teaching me a lot, that my prompts or my output is as good as my prompts. So similarly for marketing, if you're putting the right strategy out there, it's going to reap the benefits. So one is making sure that you're using the grants program by not just Google, but by other corporates as well who provide that, so you can just get to understand how the system truly works. Second is I will absolutely have a search campaign. I will use Performance Max to ensure that I'm casting a wide net, and I'm understanding how my audiences are playing. Second, I will set up a measurement platform if I am using other engines. I'm using Meta, I'm using TikTok, Instagram, email marketing, whatever it could be. I'll have that one measurement way of deduping everything. And third, I would say, I would really go to town with YouTube. It's the #1 streaming platform. It's free. If I have a consumer base, from starting with, hey, look, it took me 10 minutes to fill out a form. Let me show you how I became a donor of this amazing nonprofit, and this is what it's doing for me. It could be the 1-minute video, but it gets the point across, and then just, let them share it in all surfaces. So 3 things. Use existing free tools and programs that exist from different corporates, not just Google. Second, absolutely have a search campaign, Performance Max. Make sure that you have AI overview set up with the right measurement. And third, please, please, please experiment with YouTube. It's a social platform that's most used and streamed in every household. I think I would start with those 3.
Amazing. Nirmal, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.